Hi, my name is Alex Bannister, and this is my Sprint 1 review. And the first task I'm going to be talking about are the, uh, the the bugs that occurred for the last sprint. The first one I'm going to talk about is the flower enemies not working correctly 100% of the time. When the player came in range, not all the flowers within the range made their poison, and they also activated at different times and snapped to full. They snapped to full when they weren't supposed to. The completion criteria for this was the flowers open when the player's in range, the flowers close when the players leave range, and flowers within proximity of the range are activated. The activated flower opens and closes when it's supposed to. This took me about uh, almost 4 hours, 3 hours and 48 minutes to do, and this is it. I'll apologize ahead of time. I can't see my mouse cursor whenever I record my screen, so if I am moving around trying to find it, that is why. Okay, right here are the flowers right here, so if I walk up to it, they all open up and I start taking damage, and then if I walk out, they close. Most of it is finished, but it is still a little buggy. So I know there's still more work to be done, but this is the best I could get for the time. But it still works. They all open up how they're supposed to and close. Before it would stay open, there would be some that stayed open and you didn't know why they would stay open. But now they all actively close when the player is not in range and when the player is in range, it does open up. So it does work a lot better than what I had before. And then for the next one, it will talk about the doors not opening when they're supposed to. This took me an hour and 32 minutes, a lot less than I thought it was actually going to take because of how much I struggled with it before trying to get it to work. When the player destroys the target, the door opens before all the targets are gone, or when they destroy all the targets for the door doesn't open. The completion criteria for it was targets are that are assigned to a certain door when all of them are destroyed, it opens the door, and not before all the targets are destroyed. And so back to here. All of these targets are assigned to this door to open it. And so once all of these are gone, the door will open. There we go. And see, now the door opens. Before I had a problem with it, you only needing to destroy one target for it to open, or when all of them were destroyed, the door never opened up. So that was a major problem that I had. Normal blocks hitting the enemies and not damaging them how they're supposed to. This didn't take long for me to do because when I went to open it up to go make the changes, it just started working automatically. I don't know what was causing the issue before. All I know is that now it works. The description for it is the base block has a tendency to not damage the enemy when it hits an enemy. For completion criteria, if the regular block hits the enemy and is traveling at a required speed to damage the enemy, it does damage to the enemy. To show that, practice level, and I have this blank enemy over here, and this is what is considered a normal block. There's goo, gas, and powder, and once there, you can't really change them back to a normal block. But this is a normal block, and when you hit it at a required speed, it does damage. So not me doing that, it won't damage. But if I move side to side, it moved fast enough for it to damage the enemy. So that's a thing that players can do. Or if I cock it back all the way, bow. Now it's dead. The next bug, I noticed that the fire blocks lasted an infinite amount of time, and they became overpowered because you could just easily destroy anything that was around you. This was a quicker fix than I was expecting it to be, but I was still able to get it done. The description: the fire blocks last forever and damage the enemy, which could cause an unbalance in gameplay. For the completion criteria, fire blocks are destroyed after a certain amount of time, and the timer resets after the fire block is changed to something else. Okay, back to level select. Okay, so I'm going to go change it to a fire block. And now it should last only 15 seconds before it changes to something else. Or before it destroys itself. And then I'm going to make this one. And now that I have it, I'm going to change it to something else. And it should not destroy itself. I'll go over here. And then change this one back into a fire block as well. And then change it into a bomb block. See, this block is still not changed. Oh, that's that is supposed to happen. Just letting you know. It still hasn't destroyed, but then if I change it back to a fire block, it will last 15 seconds before it's destroyed. See, there we go. For the next one, I will be going over saving the sound. The main point for this one was just making sure I had the saving the sound capabilities. Where did I put it? That one. This took me 2 hours and 26 minutes to complete. Um, I want I want the saving. I didn't complete this specific task completely, but it was more focused on saving sounds from level to level. The sound saves from level in the completion criteria sound saves from level to level. So when you go in here, if I go to the options, this is going to be hard. So give me time to figure this out. It goes loud there, and then if I go to a different level, it is still just as loud. And then if I go to turn it down, it'll still be like that on the other levels. It's like that in the main menu as well as other levels. And that was something that didn't happen before, and the professor had to constantly go back and turn it down. The next thing I will be going over is the goo blocks laying flush when they hit when I throw them against when I hit them against the wall. This took me about 2 hours and 15 minutes. The description for it is: I want the glue block to lay flat to the object it hits so that the player can more easily traverse across them. For the completion criteria, when the goo block hits an object, it lays flat on the face of the object, and there's markers for where the player is meant to throw the goo block. This is where the player will see, this is where we can show that the block goes up against the wall. So when you throw it up against the wall, it lays flat, so it's easier to jump on, and you won't get like weird angles like how we did before. So if you throw it lower, it adjusts itself. And now you're able to just jump on it and traverse. And then there's recommended white spots for where you actually want to traverse. Ah, too low. And then bow. You can jump. Yep, and well, it just gives the player a good identification mark for where you want to actually throw it. So you want to throw it around there, and sometimes it's not always perfect because it moves off to the side, but ideally that's where you want to throw the blocks when you are playing the game. For the next one, and for the final one, is I want to have a better introduction to the push-pull mechanic. This took me almost 7 hours to do. The description, this will introduce the player. This will help introduce the player to the push-pull mechanic and everything that goes with it. It will allow the player to fully grasp the things that they will have to do once they hit the main area of play. For the completion criteria, it is an area for climbing with glue blocks, an area for destruction with both fire and a bomb block, an area that introduces the bottles to change the block, and an area for destroying targets and opening the door. And for that, we will be going back to the main level. So this is the main area where the player learns to grab and throw blocks. The targets aren't meant for the door. These are just dummies for the player to practice with. And so the player will be able to throw them, not really knowing everything that they're able to do. Then over here, this is another way to open a door. So the player can put blocks in this container. Since it's purple, since the block is purple and this container is purple, that means you want to put those certain blocks in there. So if it was a fire one, it would not work. You need the normal ones, or the purple ones, for it to actually work. And then when the recommended number that's up here is complete, then the door will open. The next area teaches you how to change the blocks while you're holding them. So if you're holding a block, press 1 for a goo block, a 2 for a fire, and 3 for a bomb block, and these bottles will help you throughout the rest of your gameplay. These are what you use to change them, and in the bottom left you see that how many bottles you hold and the numbers that represent to do it. And this is a wall that you can destroy, and you see that it is yellow, and this will be the identifying factor for everything that is able to be destroyed using a fire or a bomb block. So if you make this block into a fire block and throw it fast enough, it will destroy itself. And this is where the player will practice throwing at targets. They will eventually learn about, the fire blocks not lasting forever, because they won't be able to complete this within the 15 seconds of the timer that the fire blocks are alive. And so now that all the targets are destroyed, the door now opens. And this is where the player learns about traps. So it says watch out for traps. Traps will hinder or hurt you. If you put blocks in traps, they change the types. So the player grabs a block and puts it in there, you get a fire block. This one you get a goo block, and this one you get a bomb block. Throw it, the bomb ticks, and then explodes. The white one sticks to the surface whatever it hits. And this one is a fire block from which it does extra damage to things and lasts for 15 seconds. And this is another container, so that means since you know those last for 15 seconds, you need to have two in here for that to open. And so this will require the player to move quickly, and since they're relatively the same color, it gives the player a hint to, okay, this is where I need to put it. And then that's when the door opens. You come through here, and then you learn that these yellow these destructible objects can also be destroyed with a bomb. So the player gets a block and makes a bomb out of it. Toss it over there, and then let the destruction do its thing. Wow. Behind that was a target. Sometimes it destroys the target, sometimes it doesn't. But you need to do that to be able to close the door. And then you also see that there's another destructible wall over here that needs to be destroyed. And the player can decide whether or not they want to use a bomb block or a fire block. Stop it. And so, bow. And bow. That is destroyed. Now that door is open. And so you come through here. And so you have to figure out how to open this door. The player can either come through here and put those blocks in there, or if they look at what is being put there, there is a destructible ceiling over here. So they grab their block and make it a fire block and hit it. Bow. And this gives a simulation of what they could possibly, what they need to do for in the future part of the game. It just gives like a slight idea for what could possibly happen. This area is where they learn to use goo blocks. Use goo blocks to get over walls. So goo blocks, make it a goo block and then aim it for the spot that is right here, preferably a little lower. I think that might be a little too low, but too low. Okay, let's see if I can do this right here. I think I messed that up, but it works. And now I'm able to get over this. This gives like a slight demonstration for what the player will need to do to, or what to look out for when climbing or traversing things. And then right here it says goo, then bomb. So for this, I want the player to make themselves a goo block and then aim it at this dot right here, and then grab this other block and make it into a bomb block. And so then they throw it at this goo block, and then the goo block turns into a bomb block and destroys everything right there. And now you have your 4 purple blocks to put that in there. So drop those. And now the door is open. Now you're stuck in here. They shows the 2 ways that you can get out. You have your traps, you have 4 blocks, and you also have more bottles that the player is able to use. So if the player wants to just, quickly get out of it, stop it. They can use their fire block to use that. or if they want to practice their traversing some more. Did I knock that? Okay. Practice their traversing some more. They can. Dang, nabbit, why does that go so high? They could do that. Let me. Okay, let me put the other block. Let's see if I can get above this wall right quick. I'm right there. Yep. And then once the player gets above the wall or through here, you will find you are a bounty hunter. Go hunt the aliens to earn money and find the 3 keys to leave. So now the player has practiced all the mechanics for the push pull mechanic, and then they will be using all of these, all the practice that they've done in the game. So that's where you have to destroy the ceiling. And that's where you have to go traverse stuff, and so on and so forth. But that is everything that I have completed for this sprint. Thank you for taking your time to watch.